Joining us here in the studio, MSNBC Legal Correspondent Lisa Rubin. So, Lisa, with a welcome, what do we know about the reasons for the gag order, and do we have any reaction from Team Trump?
I have not heard yet a reaction from Team Trump. However, the reasons for the gag order are the same reasons that we've seen Alex time and time again in these Trump proceedings. This is a person who has a history of making threats, oblique or not, against participants in his trials, whether they be witnesses or whether they be the lawyers themselves. And in this case, one of the things I found most interesting was that in support of their request for a gag order, they want a gag order that would cover the line prosecutors, meaning not Alvin Bragg himself, but all of the career people who work for him. And they cited statistics to say that in 2022, of all the threats against public officials that the NYPD got, only one was related to their office. By the next year, 89 of them were related to their office, and the first came on the same day that Trump told the world over social media that he was about to be indicted. And so they're saying there is no coincidence here. You need to protect the career prosecutors. You need to protect their family members. You need to protect courtroom staff. You need to protect potential witnesses in the case. And most importantly, you need to protect the jurors, because Trump has a statutory right to know their names in New York State. That makes it different from federal proceedings, for example, like the E. Jean Carroll trial, where the jurors were fully anonymous to everyone, to the lawyers, to the parties, and to the press.
Okay, and let's also add judges, too. Judge Arthur Engoron, he had also threats made against him as well, and his safety needed some security for a bit. That said, very quickly with the jurors, so he can get names, but can he get more information?
He can't. His lawyers can get their addresses, which, again, is typical in New York State. They've asked the judge to block Trump from the information relating to their addresses for now. And they've said that if he behaves in a way that appears to interfere with the jury process or threatens the integrity of those proceedings, that he should forfeit his right to even have their names, Alex.
Okay, let's move to the hush money trial scheduled to begin the end of next month. What's a timeline for this? How long is it expected to go? And to what extent is it going to interfere with Trump's ability to campaign? Because doesn't he have to be in court for this one?
He does. He has to be in court. You know, it's interesting. When they came for their last hearing in the case, Trump's lawyer, Todd Blanche, stood up and said between March 1st and March 25th alone, there were 42 caucuses and primaries. And therefore, there's a real impediment to him having to focus on this case, let alone having to sit in court every day. But he will likely have to be there every day for at least 6 weeks and potentially beyond.
That's into May.
Yes, it is.
I mean, and is this 5 days a week or 4 days a week? Or?
It is likely 4 days a week, and not even completely that. Judge Merchan, who's proceeding over this case, takes Wednesdays off for other matters. We may end early on Fridays as well to account for the fact that there are some observant Jewish lawyers on Trump's team.
Okay, good point. Former President Trump's now formally appealed that civil fraud ruling of God knows how much money against him, considering the fact that it goes up every single day.
It does.
So talk about that. And with this appeal, does that mean he can stop the interest every day?
Nope.
No.
No, and he actually hasn't appealed yet. What he's filed is called a notice of appeal. That's literally all it does, is put the parties on notice. I am starting this process. And from this point on, he has 6 months to do what's called perfecting the appeal. That includes filing a brief, compiling the trial record. But it also starts the clock. Really, the clock started from the judgment in terms of when he has to obtain a stay. He cannot stay enforcement of the judgment without posting an undertaking or a bond in the ordinary course. New York State usually requires 100% of the judgment, or sometimes even more, 120%. The AG's office here, the Attorney General of New York State, plans to ask for 120% of that judgment.
Okay, now hang on. You say that he has 6 months to formally file this appeal. He's saying, I intend to do this.
Yep.
So is this just working into the Trump playbook, delay? But
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, I would say this is a situation in which standard court rules themselves play into the Trump playbook. He is merely taking advantage of the timeline that is afforded him under New York State rules. What the notice of appeal typically does, though, is usually a litigant files a notice of appeal in tandem with that bond to get the stay of enforcement, so that if you owe me $10, you file a notice of appeal and you post that $10 bond. That means that I can't get that $10 from you during the period of your appeal. What Trump hasn't done yet, and nor have any of his co-defendants, post an undertaking in order to press pause on the enforcement of that judgment and put it in Tish James's hands.
And just one last time, interest still will be accrued every single day. So the longer he puts off paying this, the more he ultimately would have to pay.
That's correct. $112,000 for Trump alone each day, at least before he obtains that stay. And I believe that the post-judgment interest continues to accrue thereafter as well.
Wow, it is staggering. Okay, Lisa Rubin, as always, appreciate you. Thank you so much.